Imagine two people. One has read every investing book, understands the stock market, knows exactly how compound interest works, and can explain every financial concept in the room. The other knows only the basics. 20 years later, the second person is financially free, while the first is still wondering where all the money went. Why? Because building wealth has far less to do with intelligence than most people think. Today, we're uncovering the hidden psychological traps that keep smart people poor, and chances are you've fallen into at least one of them. Let's begin. This isn't about knowledge, it's about behavior. You know someone like this. Maybe it's you. The person who read every finance book on the shelf, who can explain compound interest at a dinner party, who knows what an index fund is, knows what a Roth IRA is, could probably teach a class on the difference between good debt and bad debt. And yet somehow, at the end of the month, there's nothing left. The knowledge is there. The bank account says otherwise. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Being smart doesn't make you rich. In some cases, it actually works against you. Because intelligence gives you the tools to rationalize almost anything. Smart people don't just make bad decisions. They make bad decisions and then build a brilliant, airtight argument for why those decisions were actually the smart ones. That's the trap. Not ignorance. Justification. Let's talk about the first one. Analysis paralysis. A smart brain loves information. It wants more data, more comparisons, more research before it commits to anything. Sounds responsible, right? Except while you're comparing the 17th investment app, running the numbers one more time, waiting for the perfect entry point into the market, waiting until you understand cryptocurrency a little better, waiting until interest rates look more favorable, time is moving. And time, more than any single decision, is the actual engine of wealth. The person with an average strategy who started 10 years ago is almost always ahead of the person with the optimal strategy who's still thinking about starting. Smart people mistake thinking for doing. They feel productive because they're learning. But learning without action is just a very sophisticated form of procrastination. Then there's overconfidence. This one's sneaky because it disguises itself as competence. A person who's good at their job, good at solving problems, good at being right in meetings, starts to believe that skill transfers automatically to money. It doesn't. Being a brilliant engineer doesn't make you a brilliant investor. Being a great doctor doesn't make you great at picking stocks. But smart people often skip the humility step. They think, I'm intelligent, therefore I'll figure this out faster than everyone else. So they skip the boring fundamentals. They jump straight into complex strategies, options trading, timing the market, leverage positions because simple index investing feels beneath their intellect. Meanwhile, the less brilliant coworker who just automatically invests the same amount every single month without overthinking it quietly outperforms them over 20 years. Overconfidence convinces smart people that discipline is for people who don't understand the game. In reality, discipline is the game. Let's talk about identity. This is one of the deepest traps, and it's almost invisible from the inside. Many people, especially intelligent, educated people, built their entire self-image around not caring about money. Somewhere along the way, they absorbed the idea that wanting to be wealthy is shallow. That ambition around money is somehow less noble than ambition around ideas, art, knowledge, or status within their field. So a part of their brain, quietly, without them even noticing, sabotages financial growth because deep down, being financially successful would conflict with who they believe themselves to be. It feels almost embarrassing to care about money too openly. So they don't negotiate their salary. They don't ask for the raise they've earned. They undercharge for their work because charging more feels greedy. This isn't laziness, it's identity protection. And it's one of the hardest patterns to break because you can't fix a belief you don't know you're holding. Now, loss aversion. Humans are wired to feel the pain of losing money about twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. Smart people feel this even more acutely because they can vividly imagine every way a decision could go wrong. They can model the downside with painful precision. So what happens? They avoid investing because the market might drop. They avoid starting a business because it might fail. They keep cash sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing because at least it feels safe. But here's what a lot of people don't calculate. Inflation is a loss too. It's just a silent one. Money sitting still isn't neutral. It's quietly losing value every single year. The fear of an obvious visible loss blinds people to a slower, invisible one. And ironically, the safe choice often turns out to be the most expensive choice of all, just spread out over decades instead of concentrated into one bad headline. Let's talk about present bias, or what some people just call instant gratification. Dressed up in smarter clothing, a brilliant person can rationalize almost any purchase. The new laptop isn't just a want, it's an investment in productivity. The vacation isn't indulgence, it's necessary for mental health and creativity. The upgraded car isn't status, it's reliability and safety. None of these justifications are technically false. That's exactly the problem. Smart people are excellent at constructing true statements that lead to false conclusions. Every single purchase can be justified in isolation, but wealth isn't built or destroyed by any one purchase. It's built by the pattern. And a pattern of well-justified spending is still a pattern of spending. The brain that's clever enough to defend each individual decision is often the same brain that never adds up the total cost of 100 individual decisions made the same way. Now here's one that's particularly cruel, the sunk cost fallacy, dressed up as loyalty or persistence. Smart people pride themselves on not giving up, on seeing things through, on being consistent. So when an investment starts losing money, instead of cutting their losses, they hold on. Because admitting the initial decision was wrong feels like admitting they were wrong, and smart people hate being wrong publicly or even privately. When a business idea clearly isn't working, they keep pouring money into it because they've already invested so much, and stopping now would mean wasting everything already spent. But money already spent is gone either way. It doesn't come back because you keep spending more. The only real question is, from this point forward, is this decision still a good one? Smart people, ironically, are often the last to ask that question honestly, because their intelligence gives them endless ways to keep believing the turnaround is just around the corner. Let's talk about comparison and lifestyle creep. This one hits highly educated, high-earning people especially hard. You get a raise, you move to a slightly better apartment, you get promoted, you upgrade the car. Every increase in income quietly gets absorbed by an increase in lifestyle, and the gap between income and spending never actually widens. It's not that these people can't afford these things individually, it's that they're benchmarking their life against other smart, successful people around them, coworkers, classmates, people in their same professional circles. And that comparison quietly resets what normal spending looks like. The tragedy is this treadmill can run indefinitely. Someone can double their income over 10 years and still feel exactly as financially stretched as they did before because their sense of enough doubled right along with it. There's also the trap of someday thinking, which is really just optimism bias wearing a business suit. Smart people are good at imagining better futures. So they tell themselves, someday when I make more, I'll start saving seriously. Someday when things settle down, I'll build that budget. Someday when I get that promotion, I'll finally get organized with money. The problem is, someday isn't a plan, it's a postponement, and it rarely arrives on its own. The habits that build wealth almost never start from a position of abundance. They start from discipline applied to whatever you currently have, however small that is. Waiting for the right income level before building good habits is like waiting to be already fit before starting to exercise. And finally, let's talk about the quiet one, the one that doesn't look like a mistake at all. Perfectionism. A lot of intelligent people won't start investing because they haven't found the optimal strategy yet. They won't start a side business because the plan isn't fully polished. They won't ask for a raise because they want to have the perfect argument prepared first. Perfectionism feels like high standards. It feels responsible. But in practice, it's often just fear, wearing the costume of diligence. And while the perfect plan is being polished, someone else with a decent plan instead of a perfect one is already 3 years into building momentum. So, if intelligence isn't the answer, what actually separates people who build wealth from people who don't? It's almost never raw intelligence. It's consistency without needing certainty. It's the willingness to act on incomplete information and adjust as you go instead of waiting for perfect information that never actually arrives. It's treating money decisions less like an intellectual debate to win and more like a habit to build. Brush your teeth, put money into savings, brush your teeth, invest a fixed amount, automatically, boringly, repeatedly, whether the market is up or down, whether you feel like it or not. The people who quietly build wealth over decades are rarely the smartest people in the room. They're the most consistent people in the room. They automate their savings so willpower isn't required every single month. They ask for the raise even when it feels uncomfortable. They start before they feel ready because they understand that readiness is a feeling, not a prerequisite. They separate their self-worth from their net worth, so growing their money doesn't feel like betraying their identity. And most importantly, they stop treating every financial decision as a referendum on their intelligence and start treating it as simply one more habit to practice. Because in the end, this was never about how much you know. It's about what you actually do on a random Tuesday when no one's watching. And the smartest, most defensible decision would be to wait just a little longer. Because in the end, wealth isn't built by making one brilliant financial decision. It's built by making ordinary decisions consistently. The people who become financially free aren't usually the smartest people in the room. They're the ones who invest when it's boring, who save before they spend, who start before they feel ready, and who keep going when everyone else is still waiting for the perfect moment. So the next time your brain tells you to wait just a little longer, ask yourself one simple question. Am I making the smartest excuse or the smartest decision? Because your future wealth won't be determined by what you know. It will be determined by what you repeatedly do. If you enjoyed this video and want more psychology-backed investing insights, subscribe to Wolf Accumulate. I'll see you in the next one.